Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Caterina Kostoula. She is a life vision coach and she helps high achievers navigate life in the most fulfilling way. Welcome to the show, Caterina.
Thank you for having me, Ajay. I'm so excited to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what what we'll be discussing right now. We'll be talking about crafting one's life vision that we learn from you. But before we learn about this, let's learn a bit about your journey. What made you leave Google and then go on to your achieving your life vision? Help us understand a bit about your journey so that the audience understands more about you, so that they know who they are listening to.
Sure. So I had a vision with the definition of have dreams that I wanted to achieve since early. Like I grew up in Greece and I had this vision. I would travel the world, and even landing the job at Google, there was a lot of visualization that happened beforehand. Like I went into YouTube and looked at the offices of Google in London. I visualized myself working there, and then like it worked, right? I landed a job there and I stayed for 8 years. But I realized halfway through my career at Google, something was not aligned anymore. It was the dream job. And that's why a message I want to share with our listeners, that sometimes something that's a dream come true later can become a cage, because we change, we evolve, what we need to do in life or what we want to do changes. And a lot of people stay stuck, but this was the dream job, or I have something that so many other people want and they stay there. So I realized I drifted a little bit away from the vision. Like I got carried away. Let me climb the corporate ladder. Let me get the promotion. And as I was doing that, and when we do that, when we drift away from our navigational system, we have negative consequences. And this usually is either failure or burnout. And I had both. Like I got in the beginning, I was getting promoted very fast. Then something got stuck in the promotions. I burned myself out. And I realized it was my fault because I was trying to climb a ladder that was against the wrong wall. I didn't want to be there anymore. I was already trained as a coach and I wanted to become a coach. So I left Google in 2018. And since then, I'm helping people connect to their vision, have a life that makes them want to wake up in the morning, do purposeful work, enjoying what they want to do. Because I think when you do that, it's for the highest good of all, the highest good of you, your loved ones, the society, your clients.
Absolutely, absolutely, Katrina. Well explained. Now let's understand this, vision, life vision. You are a life vision coach. What is this life vision? How do we find this life vision? Do we get a vision while we awake, or while we are dreaming? How does it happen?
All of it, all of it. So my definition of life vision, Ajay, it is simply the navigational system that guides you through your life. And I got the inspiration, you'll be surprised, for this definition when I was in a trip looking for whales. And then I found out whales travel from the poles to the center, like the tropics, and they go straight as an arrow. The scientists didn't know how they navigate. How can they go from the poles of the earth to the tropics straight as an arrow? And the scientists are still studying this, by the way, but it's a navigational system that's so complex. They will use the magnetic fields of the earth. They will use the position of the stars. They will use what they remember of the mountains under the sea. Like it's a lot of signals, because when it's cloudy and they cannot see the sun and the stars, what are they going to do? Are they going to get lost? They almost never get lost, right? They have, the magnetic pull of the earth. So when I realized, I was like, oh, humans, we have something like that as well to navigate life. It's just, for most of us, we just ignore our navigational system and we do what they told us to do, what society wants us to do, all the conditioning, what we wanted to do in the past, what our parents wanted us to do. So the vision is the navigational system. And when you connect to your real vision, then this navigational system will guide you through a fulfilling life. because you can have a navigational system just doing what other people are doing. It just won't guide you through a fulfilling life.
Absolutely. And what happens if your navigation system, develops some issue? Why I ask this, Katrina, is that what about purpose? Is life vision is the same as purpose, or purpose different than that? What about, when people say you got to be the best version of yourself? How do you do that? Is it also again moving towards, you know, uh, towards your vision, or is it beyond that? And main question is whether, if purpose and life vision are two different things, what do you do when they clash? Which do you choose? Help us understand these things from a common person's perspective so that they can resolve their dilemma through you.
Thank you. Do you have an example of a purpose clashing a life vision? Give me an example so we can make it practical for people.
Purpose, life vision could be that I can think of, uh, becoming a pilot, a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
But purpose would be that you want to open an NGO. Now those two things are two different lines. Like for example, in the Second World War, about the pilot Cheshire, and he was the one who dropped bombs on Nagasaki, if I am correct. And later on, he went on to open Cheshire Homes. I hope I'm correct. I remember these things correctly because you asked me this question, so this is what comes to my mind immediately. But if
Yeah.
I am not, then I'm sure people will excuse me for that. But
Of
this
course.
is somewhat of the story. So many times, you find that your vision about yourself, your life vision about yourself, can also clash with your purpose that you want to, the larger purpose, which a lot of people are struggling with in today's time.
They do. They do. But I have found when you're authentically connected to your vision, it doesn't clash with the purpose. And the example I give to people is the tree, like an example from nature, because the tree very instinctively does what it does, right? It will grow, and that offers shades to people, or it will take the CO2 and create oxygen because that's what the tree needs for its energy. For very selfishly, let's say the tree does this for its own survival, but because it does that process, we get fresh oxygen from the tree, and it will create fruit in order for the tree to multiply. But the animals will eat the fruit. So the tree, as you can see, it's in perfect alignment, doing what it needs to do to grow and thrive as a tree, but also it helps everyone in the environment. So that's how I see being aligned with the vision. A lot of the times, there's nothing wrong with purpose. Like everybody instinctively, we want to be useful, like sooner or later, or we want to be creative. Like we see the whole universe is very creative. Like we see stars are being born every day, acorn becomes the oak tree. Like there is this creative force. So we will want to be creative instinctively, so we will contribute to the world. We don't need though to enforce it externally. If a purpose is enforced because, oh, I think that's the right thing to do, from cultural or even religious backgrounds, then it kind of doesn't fit and it doesn't work. And a lot of times we do more harm than good. Like it doesn't matter so much. We think we do the right thing, but when it doesn't come from inside out, it might even do more harm than good, because we won't have the inner wisdom, we won't have the inspiration, we won't have the intuition to make the right decisions. So there's nothing wrong with purpose, but I'll say it needs to come from inside. And also, even being the best version of yourself, there's nothing wrong with learning new skills, growing. Like again, that's the force. Like we want to evolve, like the species evolve. Like that's the natural evolution of things. We want to evolve and learn and develop skills. But if it comes of an external pressure, I'm not good enough as I am, then again, this will create some kinks in the navigational system.
Right. Can it happen, that people can uh, craft this life vision in a wrong way? Their understanding can be wrong, and in a way they can move towards a direction which they may not want to go, but it situations can take you there. uh, or maybe you are immature enough. So my question here is then, what is the best way to create a life vision for myself? Because that will be the guiding force, and if that is not calibrated well with what I want, then I will see a road, or maybe if I may not even find the road which I thought there earlier on, it will be there.
So to answer your first question, that was me, like midway in my career at Google. Like everybody was like, we were in a corporate ladder, so the vision was what everybody else around me was doing. Let's get the next promotion, like better title, more money. Like that was the vision, but it wasn't the right thing for me. I didn't even want to be in a corporate job anymore. So that's what we mean of. And usually when you do that, you will have, it will seem harder than it is. You will feel not very fulfilled. If you do, like if you follow the wrong goals for a long time, you'll start having burnout. Like you'll start having physical symptoms because your soul wants to do something else. Like internally, you want to do something else. So how do you do? I don't even use the word. I used to use the word craft. I use connect to your life vision. And I think it's something you do day to day. Like I don't, even though when I work with my clients, we do a vision board or we write our vision down and make it holistic: health, love, work, play, try to incorporate all of the areas. I don't want you to be committed to that vision. I want you to be committed in being in flow. So I want you to see vision as my navigational system that every day I'm connecting, because maybe I decided like a month ago that I'm pursuing that goal, but maybe the environment now has changed or I have changed. Things might have happened and I need to change that. So that's one thing I want to say. It's not something we create and we put on in stone, because that, like a vision as an image of the future, becomes really antiquated really quickly. And that's what even most businesses that do that get bankrupt, right? If you see all the businesses that get bankrupt, it's because they got attached to an old strategy and the world changed. Like even the DVD blockbusters, right? They had this old strategy and then the world moved to Netflix, but they continued with the old strategy. That's what leads to failure, when we get too attached to a vision. But practically for our listeners, so what do you do? Like how do you connect to this vision day in, day out? And I have my process. I use 3 F's. The first one is free. The second one is I call it flow, and the third step I call it form. So the first free, the first step, it is, if you don't know what to do, because usually if you see kids know what they want, right? If you're in the phase you don't know what you want, usually it's because you need to clean a little bit your lenses. And usually it's clean from fear. A lot of the times we know what we want, but we're too afraid we're going to fail, it's going to require sacrifice. So clean the fear. A lot of times it's clean the ego. I may know what I want, but maybe I'm afraid of other people's judgment. I'm afraid, what will people say? So we need to clean the ego. And clean attachment. A lot of the times is attached to either an old vision, attachment to the past. A lot of the time, so we need to clean that up. That's the first step in terms to connect with the vision, and it's a process we go through. And then once you've done this cleaning, the second is flow. Like, what gives you joy? What does your intuition, what your inner guidance tell you? Like a little bit of take some inspired action, do some experiments to see how do you react. Like the second stage of connecting to your vision, I call it flow, and it's follow your joy, follow your intuition, and take some action, either because you're inspired to take that action or as an experiment. Let me try this and see if it works, because then action creates clarity. And then in the last piece, it's form. I do recommend you go through the exercise to writing it down with images and words. What do I want? How do I want to feel? What do I want to create in the different areas of my life? So these are the 3 steps I walk my clients through when we work on connecting to their vision.
Right, right, Katrina. Now you talk about mistakes. What mistakes can people make while working on their life vision, so that people, when they listen to you, they can avoid all these mistakes while crafting their vision?
Yeah. So I think we've touched on many of them already. Like a big mistake is not asking the question, like, what do
Okay.
I want? What wants to come through me? If you want to go more deeper wisdom, what wants to come through me? What do I want to create? How do I want to feel? The first mistake, not even asking the question. Um, the second is following what I think other people want, following what I think will impress other people. A lot of the times we pursue goals not because we want them, but because we think we will feel more worthy. They will impress, like whether it's the promotions, the money. I'm not saying like the same goal can be joy driven for one individual, and it can be very ego driven for another individual. So a question our listeners can ask themselves is, would I still want this if nobody would find out I achieved it or I got it? Like, would you still want this car if nobody could ever see? Like, if anyone would see you in this car and they would see like an ugly car, would you still want to buy this car? So that's a question to see. Oh, actually, I want this for other people's opinions. Being too attached to a rigid vision is also a mistake because, as I said, it changes all the time. It needs to be a live navigational system. These are the top three mistakes I would say come to mind first.
Right, right. Aligning to the navigational system. A dolphin is aligned to its navigational system. What is our navigational system? And that is where, should our life vision be aligned to ourselves, our happiness, or should it be aligned to the world, which is aligned to, again, to the bigger vision of, the grand scheme of things that God has designed is the welfare of everyone. How should one craft that part?
Yeah. So I don't see a conflict. Like if you ask the questions of what brings me joy, or where does like honest desire, not ego driven desire, takes me? Like a lot of ego driven is like power, and it's for people coming out of a place of lack, right? I need to enforce power over others. But if it comes from, this is what I want to create, or this is what I want to do, it will be good. It will be for the highest good of all. That has been my experience, and I think we need to let go, because an example I use, like you could have a cashier in the supermarket. You could have a waiter. You could have like the cleaner. Like the cleaner at NASA, they asked him, "What do you do?" And he said, I'm helping put a man on the moon." And let's say a cashier in the supermarket, and then you have a president of a big NGO really raising a lot of capital to save the kids, right? Um, and you could say, but you have the cashier in the supermarket being really aligned, like bringing really joy every day. Like you go buy your groceries and you have this person with this wonderful energy because they're aligned, right? And they're doing this like they're just you pay your groceries, but it gives joy to so many people, and it can be the smile on your day. And I compare this person, they're living their purpose. Like they might be, not every cashier in the supermarket, but they might be living a greater purpose. And imagine a president of an NGO, but they're not enjoying what they're doing. So they're grumpy, they're shouting at their kids and their spouse, and they're raising the money, but it comes out of all this toxicity. Because if you're not aligned with your vision, you will be toxic for your family, your friends, your society. Their decisions, the money will not be optimized because they won't be inspired, because unless you love what you do, you don't do it really well for a long time. So I would say, when you follow the internal, what brings me joy, what I feel called to do, what I feel called to create, that's when you have the biggest impact, positive impact in the world.
Right. When I walk on the path of my vision, how do I
Yes.
know whether I'm walking on the right path? And this is exactly the path that I designed for myself. Because the roads will be very dusty. Many a
Yeah.
times it will be snow, many a times it will be dust, many a times it will be sandstorms and so many other things. So how do I know that? And can this, should we always leave room to, to recalibrate this life vision as we go on that
Yeah.
road?
Yes. Definitely leave room to recalibrate. The way you will know is that you will be enjoying every step, the step you're taking now. The most important step in your journey is the step you're taking right now. Versus a lot of people who say, I'll sacrifice the now, I'll hustle and I'll grind to reach a destination. So that when what I'm doing feels like a grind, I will go back and check with myself. Am I connected to my vision here? Or someone sold me that if you do this sacrifice, you'll reach there, and I'm doing this and it doesn't feel right. So I would say, I remember when I wrote a book I published, it's called Hold Successful Meetings. When I was writing the book, I enjoyed the writing process, irrespective. I didn't care. Of course, I wanted a lot of people to read the book, but I would never regret writing the book, even if just one person wrote it and found value in it. I think that's a sign. It doesn't mean, as you said, it will be dust and it will be snow. It doesn't mean that when you follow your vision, you won't have um, difficulties, challenges, losses, disappointments, but they will hurt less. That I know, because they will hurt less because at least you were enjoying the steps. I remember when I found out at my job at Google that I didn't get promoted, I was devastated. And so many of my clients, when they find similar news, they were doing something that was not aligned, but they were doing it to achieve a goal, right? They were grinding to achieve a certain goal, like grow their business or get a promotion or make that amount of money. But they were doing things they didn't enjoy. And then when the failure comes, it's devastating because you sacrificed everything for nothing. You didn't get nothing, right? And even if the success comes, it doesn't last long because it wasn't that fulfilling. It was probably ego driven. You were doing it for other people. But when you're failing, but you're following your vision, it's just an experiment. At least you enjoyed the process and you say, okay, I learned that now. Let me try again, or let me try something different. Or it doesn't hurt that much when you're connected to your vision.
Right. And is this vision a destination, or it always remains a journey? We keep on refining the same vision as we go by. How does it? It's like the horizons. You can see it from afar, and the closer you go, the farther it becomes. So, how does it work?
So the destination is always useful on projects. Like when I was writing the book, I was like, okay, I need to deliver my manuscript in 6 months. Let me work backwards. So that it's helpful for project management to have a destination. This is how, or I'm building a house. This is how I want it to look like. Let me walk backwards. But when it comes to our life, all it matters is now. Like the future is in our head. It doesn't even exist. So I would say it can be, if we have a destination, like the destination I have for people is, how do you want to feel? And we can ask our listeners now, like, write it down. How do you want to feel? And what I usually get as answers is, I want to feel joyful, peaceful, happy. And I say, can you feel this right now? Yes, you can. Like all of us, like a feeling is inside of us. Like nothing externally can make us feel something we don't carry inside. So I would say, in terms of projects, a vision of the destination can be very helpful. And again, not every writer will have a vision of the plot. Some people will develop the plot. Again, it's not a necessary, but in life, a destination can actually make us lose the now and make us sacrifice the now for the future, and the future never comes, and we're like the dog chasing its tail and never reaching it. So I am very cautious. That's why I said vision is not the destination. Vision is your navigational system. What's your next step? Is vision of the now, seeing it as clear as possible, and being taking the right next step for you.
Right. And you talked about vision and joy and the navigation. So you left Google, but now Google is also your client, Johnson and Johnson, Vodafone, and so many. So how does it feel now walking along with your navigation system that is your life vision?
It feels so much better, I have to say, because I developed the life I wanted, like the freedom to go for a walk in the middle of the day and have this conversation and being my own boss. And I traveled like with my family. We lived in 7 countries. We took sabbaticals. Like it just, once I realized that, oh, if I trust myself on what's the right next step, it will actually be better for me professionally, financially. Like when I linked those dots, because a lot of us were trapped. We know what we want, but we feel, oh, if I do what I want, I won't make any money. I won't survive. you know, like once, and and let's be aware of privilege here. Once you cover the basic needs, right? Because if you haven't covered your basic needs, just go and cover your basic needs. And that's what I say to people sometimes, because they say, I have this vision, but I don't have any savings. Like I want to write a book or I want to become an artist. I'm like, okay, then we go to strategy. That's where you want to end up. Let's find a job now and save some money. Like it's let's be pragmatic as well, right? But for me, and also the ability when life happens, because I'm not going to say, oh, once you connect to your vision, everything. Although I do believe that we have the power to create and manifest a lot of things, but we don't control everything. Life happens. And even since I left Google, I had disappointments and losses and things that didn't go my way. But I found easier again to bounce back and navigate, because even when you have a loss and you're grieving, like tuning in at that moment and say, what do I need now? What should I be doing now? And having the flexibility, I have the capacity not to work today because I'm experiencing a loss and I need to grieve. Like that type of freedom, I will never have in the previous job. Although I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the 8 years, and I did get a lot of things.
Right. You did a lot of great things, and a lot of great things are yet to come. So what is your life vision? Is it, are you living your life vision, or there is something much more refined now as you see forward into the future?
I'm living. Actually, I'm in the phase of my life, Ajay, that I live more in the present than I ever was. Like last year, we went on a sabbatical in Costa Rica. That was a dream for 6 years. Like we were like, we'll go spend a year in Costa Rica. Now I moved back to Greece after 20 years living abroad. And now it's the first time that I'm just taking it one day at a time. And actually, because we're live, I decided, because a lot of my priority now, how can I nurture myself and live myself? Like I'm in this phase. It's not about hustling for the future. Although I have an event, a 3-day event in January I'm looking forward to. But next Monday, and that's a free challenge. I'm launching for my community a 21-day free self-love challenge. So, and I wanted to do this, but the idea came to me yesterday, Ajay, and I'm launching it like this week. We start on Monday. That's also trusting your vision. Like when the inspiration strikes, just doing it. And that's a free gift for my community. And I realized I wanted to do that because I live day by day, and I wake up in the morning and I say, okay, how can I love myself today? And I'm like, since I'm in this phase, let me bring my community along and let's do it all together. So that's where I am now.
Wonderful. There is so much to learn from you about all these things, Caterina, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn more from you, about you, be a part of your coaching. So what's the best way for them to do so?
Well, so my website is theleaderpath.com. If you go theleaderpath.com/toolkit, it's a free vision toolkit it has visualization, it has 2 guides for our audience. So, and then I hang out a lot on LinkedIn. So you can always DM me on LinkedIn, and we, Caterina Kostoula on LinkedIn. So theleaderpath.com/toolkit for the free vision toolkit for our audience. And that way they'll be in my mailing list. I send a vision article every week to my community. I think those are the best ways.
Wonderful. With this, it's set up on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.